Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today I am starting my work on materials from the 2018 Occasions catalog. It'll be live and available to order from, let's see, today's the 10th. So in right at the first of the year, January 2nd is when it's live. So I thought I would show a couple of products, and what I'm going to do is feature a suite. And these are two cards I made from the same suite, and I'd like to share with you what the suite is and take a sneak peek at what the materials are, and it is absolutely beautiful. This suite, let me show you the stamp sets here, is called Petal Palette. And Petal Palette is this really pretty floral leaves, more flowers, individual flowers, and this darling little bird. And so it is a two package stamp set. These are the images. And then these are the sentiments. There's a thank you, I just love you, best wishes from the heart, for everything, congratulations, some things are just meant to be, like the two of you together, life is so much better with you in it, and then this dot relief down here. So this one is a total of 15 stamps. And then it has with it a die set, and this is the die set, and the die set is called Petals and More Thinlit Dies. And these dies, I'm going to show you here, this is one of those where you purchase them together and you save 10% because it's a bundle coming out in the Occasions catalog. This die here cuts out this floral pattern here, and it's just beautiful. I'll show you what I did with this in a minute. So today I am using this floral, the bird, this stamp. The only thing I'm not using is this little flower here from the images. And then in the sentiments, I'm using From the Heart, and then I'm using something else for the sentiment on the second card, and I'll show you how that works. But these are the dies, and this is the dies and the stamp sets. Just beautiful. Also in this suite are two embossing folders. One is this vine-looking folder that produces an image that looks like this. And this is one of the ones I'll be using on one of my cards today. This one also produces a floral pattern. I'm not using it in any of the cards for today, but I did go ahead and emboss a piece of paper just so you could see what it is, and it's just beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous, with a whole spray of flowers kind of going down the side of a panel. And so that is a die set that's available in this suite. The papers are called Petal Passion Designer Series paper, and this paper is all in the same black and white motif. So there's the front and the back of that one. There is this one with this pattern behind it. This one. And they are just so beautiful. Isn't this gorgeous? I could see using a brayer and coloring this whole thing to get some different colors going on it. And the reverse side of that is this large floral pattern. Very pretty. This all lends itself to coloring. There's a black and white polka dot with a relief of leaves on the other side. And let's see, we've already looked at this one. And then these little flowers with a bold stripe behind it. And that is the papers for this particular set. Now, what I have done for my cards for today is I took this paper, and let me see if I've got it here. I do. And I took Old Olive and I used the stamp here because it mimicked the leaves on this pattern, and I just over-stamped it with Old Olive. And so you could do that with any color. There's just an awful lot. This is an extremely versatile set. There's just a lot you can do with it. So those are the Designer Series papers. Let me move those out of the way. Then there's yet another component to this, and it is just really a lot of fun. It is a Memories and More, Petal Passion Memories and More card pack. Now, I'm not a big scrapbooker, and so I don't do much with scrapbooking pages, but because I'm pretty much a card maker, and I'm going to grab these papers here. This is what comes in this Memories and More pack. $10 for this whole great big pile of stuff. And I have used some of that here today, and I used the sentiment from here, and I used this little pink background from here. So what there are is two different sizes. First of all, this size here, which is the perfect panel on a card base. And in fact, there's the piece that I took off of the of this other piece to do that, and I'm gonna have to find my other one now. But there are just all different kinds of things. Look at that as centered on a card with some sort of a greeting on it. Best day ever, and they're all double-sided. So there's material on all sides of this that one might use in a scrapbook, but I'm thinking of all of the ways that I can take this package of materials and turn it into cards. I mean, there's just so much stuff here, it's hard to even believe. I cut these birds down because I was thinking about using them in something else, but I will eventually. And look at these sentiments. Adorable. Isn't that cute? And so I used one of the sentiments off of one of these cards to do this one, the one that says Beautiful Day. And I'm going to have to find it because I need it for making this card. But I don't know how many there are in here. I didn't count them. But it's just this incredible array of images and things that you can use in this card. And it matches the florals in the patterns also of the paper. So it just keeps going and going and going. This one says the best of everything. That would be pretty on there too. Maybe we'll hold that one out just in case I can't find the other one. But there's two each of each design in this section here, and there's all done in pink, and this kind of, some of it's black and some of it's kind of a very dark gray. Now look at that. That's the reverse of that. Isn't that pretty? Very, very pretty. Anyway, it just keeps going. And that's the small size. And I don't know if it says how many pieces are in here. It just says 1 kit. But that's an awful lot of material for $10. That's just unbelievable. So one could, with the embossing folder and the papers and these little cards and other possibilities, I just think this thing has tremendous opportunity to make a ton of cards, a whole suite of things. Now this is in the larger pieces here, and this one is a page of stickers. And I started a third design, and I haven't finished it, but I used a couple of the stickers on this one to, so that's why they're missing from here. But these are oversized. This is bigger than your normal card front. And there are these cutout pieces. These pieces here were on one sheet that then had these, it was this sheet here that had Smile in it and Memories as a die cut. Then there's another page of die cuts. This one says Lovely, Today, and Hello. And then just look at this. Let me grab a piece of paper so you can see this. Isn't that stunning? It's a piece of acetate with a floral piece on it. That is going to make a gorgeous card. And then there's another one here. It's an acetate page that says Together. And I can see how one would use these in scrapbooking, but my mind is racing about all the ways I can use it to make cards. Anyway, there's more patterns, again, double-sided. Aren't those birds cute with a little heart in between them? You Are My Sunshine. And I thought even just cutting out the sentiment here and using it so that you didn't even need to stamp on some of these. Anyway, there's just a whole assortment of these beautiful double-sided patterned papers in here that just say all kinds of wonderful things. And so I wanted to show and share with you this entire suite because I think I could probably make cards for a month off of this particular card pack and paper and embossing folders and stamp set and dies. It's just wonderful. And so I'm going to show you today what I did with this pack. And I decided that in the case of these cards here, one of the things I did, and I'll just show you what I did, similar to this. I took a piece of Whisper White cardstock, and then I used the stamp set, and I stamped this image 4 times. I stamped the bird a bunch of times. I stamped this little flower, this spray, and then this spray here. And then, so that you wouldn't have to watch me do it, what I did was I cut out using the dies, because there's dies for all but one of these things that I've stamped here, already cut out. There's birds, the one floral spray, the second floral spray, the flower, and the large floral. And so I went ahead and cut a whole bunch of these, because I think that would be the way to do these. Put these all in an envelope. And then as I sat down to create, I could pick and choose whichever piece I wanted. And I didn't even use all the dies. There's lots more you could do with the dies. I did do floral spray, one in white and one in green for this card. And I've got those cut as well. So let's just get started. So these two I thought I would just show with all of that how simple it would be just to do something pretty quickly. And what I have put together is I've used an old olive base, cut 11 by 4 1/4 and scored at 5 1/2. I wanted this one to be a top folding card. So let me burnish this, and I'm going to go fairly quickly on putting the cards together here. And I'll do some of my coloring so I can show you what I'm doing, but I'm going to do some of it off camera to save a little bit of time. Then for this piece, I used a powder pink base. Here's my powder pink base, and I did that one in the fold that I normally use, a side opening fold. And then for this one, I went ahead and I cut a piece of black that is 3 5/8 by 4 7/8, and then I cut a piece of that DSP that I stamped in about, well, just a bit. So 3 1/2 by 4 3/4, so that these two pieces will sit one on top of the other and with a very, very tiny border around it. Isn't that just pretty, just the way it is? So what I'm going to do is just start, and I think I'll start with this card here. So what I'm going to do is just use some snail and put this card, this piece of DSP, on my black frame. Okay, so then I cut another piece. For this one, I have a piece that is cut 3 5/8 by 1 5/8, and that is the band that's going to go right across here. And I am going to put a little bit of that pink shimmer ribbon around this piece to pick up the pink a little bit here. So I'm going to cut a piece, I don't think it needs to be any bigger than that, of the pink shimmer ribbon. I'm going to use my snail to put a little adhesive on the back of my ribbon so that it'll stay put once I set it down. Okay, so I put it centered on my piece of black, and then put that whole piece sort of a little bit lower than half down this card, and wrapped that ribbon around all of those pieces. Now this piece is ready to go on my old olive card base here. And you'll see it varies a little bit from the size of the one that I started on. With the prototypes, I'm generally experimenting, and I decided I like the big green border on this, and I like just the hint of black on the back side to frame the panel here. Okay, so that part of the card is done. Now, I've taken one of my images of the large floral piece here, and I have used some of my blender pens. I've used the light and the dark pink, and I have used the light rich raspberry on my roses here. And what I did was I used the lighter pink first, and I just put down my color on my flowers. Okay, so there's the lighter pink. Then I took my darker pink, and I'm using the large end, and just put a little bit of the darker color just around the edges and kind of in the middle here, going a little bit beyond just the center, but just along the edges here. Then I took the small end of the rich raspberry here, and I just went right along the edges of the petals. I'm going to finish this one on camera, and then I'll finish coloring and come back and show you. I want to show you one of the flowers completely and then one of the leaves. All right, then I went back with the lighter and I blended all of those colors in together. Now on the green, what I did was I used the light and the dark Old Olive, and in all cases I put the light down and covered most of the leaf, and again I'm going to go all the way around here and cover the white, just to give a little definition. Now I'll be back in a minute and finish my coloring. I'm back, and I recolored this. I'll show you what happened. Went over the edges of the white, and it ended up looking just kind of muddy. So I decided to do it again and stay inside the lines of the flower, and I do like the way it came out better. So I have colored using the lighter on the leaves and then just highlighting a little bit darker. And I have my Wink of Stella pen, and on this, I think you can see it. What I did was I colored all of the green leaves on the DSP, and then I colored the flowers and the leaves on the little floral spray here. So I'm going to do that now. Flowers, and then also on my leaves here. And I just think that little touch of sparkle makes this card just a bit more special. All right. So now this little panel is very wet, and so it has to dry a little bit. And while we're doing that, I'm going to take up one of my little birds here, and I decided to color him in the yellow, which in the Stampin' Blend, in the blending markers, this one is Daffodil Delight, and I just think he came out so cute. And then in the case of this one, I used is it the ivory? Yes, the ivory. And just to put a little bit of brown detail, if you will, on my bird. On his wings and a bit on his tail and on his breast and a little bit around his head there. All right, so that adds just a little different detail to that. Okay, so next, this is just a matter of putting this together and doing a little bit of stamping for the sentiment. And I need a piece of scrap white for that, which I have here. And let's see, in my stamp set, this one I put From the Heart. Mount that, and then I did that, and I tried doing it in the powder pink, and it was just too light. So I ended up doing that one in Sweet Sugar Plum. And the colors really complement. So I'll show you here what I did. I just stamped right along the edge. I got my From the Heart, and what I did was I'm not very good at straight, so I used my Sweet Sugar Plum, and I think that matches the roses pretty well. Now, all I did was take one end and cut it at an angle, and then match the other end to cut it a bit at an angle, just so that it's a little bit different. And I put that into place right down here at the bottom. I didn't raise that one on dimensionals, and this one I think I will. So From the Heart. There we go. And now I'm ready to put my bird and my flowers. Okay. Well, I lost some film, so I wanted to show you. I was at the point that I was coloring my rose, and I did finish my coloring, and I put Wink of Stella on the rose, and then I also added some Wink of Stella on the individual green leaves in the pattern paper here. And then I raised this up on dimensionals and set that in place here, and then put my bird on. And I had not colored my bird, and on this one I wanted to do that. I wanted to color him in Wink of Stella as well. So I'll finish that. On the inside of this one, what I did, this piece is 3 3/4 by 5. So I cut a piece that was about 3/4 of an inch by 5 inches and just laid it down along the edge, and then put a piece of this pretty shimmer ribbon in the pink, the same as we used across here, on the inside, and that was the decoration I did for the front of the card. So really, after I lost the video, what I really did was, I think I'd already put this up on dimensionals, and if not, that's all I did, just stamp this and cut it out and put it on dimensionals, put my flower on dimensionals, and put my bird on dimensionals. So I got a 3D kind of effect with the bird, and I like that so much I'm going to go ahead and color this bird in as well. And I found myself, as I was looking at the film that I thought I had taken, is I had completed most of the second card as well. So I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to work on the second card. So there are a few things that have been done. This was on a pink base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then I cut this piece of designer series paper 4 by 5 1/4. And then what I used was I used the Sweet Sugar Plum ink, and I used a dauber, and I put some of this ink on this side, across the top, and down this side, because this is the card we're recreating. And I've got panel that's going to fit on here and in the center, so all we really needed was some color around the edges here, and then I adhered that to my card base. That's all I did there. Then I took my piece of this piece of embossed white, whisper white cardstock, and put some glue on the back of this and set that in place right here on the front of this card, centered from top to bottom. And I just wanted to see a couple of pieces of the little vine on this side. Then I took this piece, like this one, of designer series paper, and I put it in place. Let's see, I've already put the dimensionals on this one. So this piece is going to sit basically right here, showing just a little bit of a border on this side and balancing from top to bottom in place here. Then the next thing I did was I cut this sentiment from one of the card pieces. This was it. It had a black with a white chalk looking thing, and "You Are My Sunshine." And I just snipped that out, and I fishtailed the end, and I put a couple of dimensionals on this one too. So this one we're using elements that already exist, so we're not really having to create much at all. Then I put this in place along the top here on my card. Then I've taken a little bit of the cut elements that I had. This one and this one, I think I used 2 of these. So let me get a little bit of scratch paper here. And I used my blender pens to color in these. And what I did was I used the lightest pink on one and just colored in the flowers here. And then I used the darker pink, and just to give it a little depth, I added some shading around this card here on those floral pieces. Then on the second one, I used, let's see, I think it's this one, that is the light Calypso Coral, and I used the light Calypso Coral all on the flowers here, covering them. I love using these blender pens. They're really pretty. Then I took the darker Calypso Coral and again just highlighted the edges of this flower. And the darker is much darker, and so just adding a hint of color here and there to give it some dimension. There we go. And then on the last one, I used my Rich Razzleberry, and this is the dark Rich Razzleberry, and I thought that was kind of pretty. I'm going around the edges. It's a very small flower to color, so it's really not much at all. And I added the dark Rich Razzleberry to the outside of that flower, and then just like the other one, I used the lighter Rich Razzleberry to go over the inside of the flower, just to give a little bit of color dimension here. And then for my leaves, I used the light old olive on all of the leaves, and I didn't add any other color to the leaves. So here I have just a couple leaves left to do. Pretty easy bit of coloring. So there we go with the 3 flowers that I want to use here. And then I have one spray of leaves that I want to use. So here's a couple of die cuts of this leaf pattern. And on these, what I had done on this card is laid a couple of these down. So I used my snips and cut some of these leaves off. And so that I could create a spray of flowers or leaves here and put them more where I wanted them. Sort of like that. And then I could lay my flowers down on top. And I did cut off the stems on this. They weren't very useful to me for this particular project. So I did cut off my stems on this because I wanted the flowers to be what we were paying attention to. And I think I'm going to arrange that pretty much like I did that one. I laid the purple flowers down and then arranged these others to create that little cluster with the leaves kind of sticking around. So the next thing I need to do is use my Wink of Stella again and color in my flowers. All right, so I'm going to snip another couple of these leaves off here and start to lay down my bed of leaves. And I'll use, oops, I don't know what that was, use my silicone mat here. And what I'm going to do is just put down a little bit of snail on the back of some of these leaves and start to put them into place here, so I get kind of a full area of leaves kind of poking out and around in here. And you can use whatever adhesive you'd like. I think using snail in this case works because I'm going to lay the flowers down over the top with dimensionals, so it'll help hold them in place. I love having this leaf die so that you can create sort of a foliage scene. We've not been able to do that before with the leaves that we've had available. They've not been small enough, so I'm thrilled to have these leaves in this new die set. Okay, I think that's enough. Now I'm going to put adhesive on this bunch of flowers here, and I'm going to lay those down more flat. They'll actually end up being raised because they're sitting on top of the leaves right in here. And then these other two I'm going to lift up on the mini dimensionals. take these last ones and put them down on my card front here, dressing up that little corner of the card. All right, let me get rid of all of the rest of this. And then I have another product in the catalog that I would like to show you that I used to add some decoration on the front here. And they're very subtle and very pretty. And that is these. They are crystal clear enamel shapes is what they're called, and they come in a shape of a little bit larger circle, a smaller circle, and then these are like water drops. Let me see if I can put this on something so you can see them. So the larger circle, the smaller circle, and then these ones that look like water drops. I think you can have some fun with that on a couple of the stamp sets. Then the second sheet comes, and it is the same from the standpoint of it has large, small, and droplet shaped things, but these have glitter in them. So they're enamel dots that are clear, and one sheet is glittered and the other sheet is plain. And I just think they're so pretty. So I have taken a few of them, and of course my favorite are the ones with glitter in them, and laid those down in a couple of places on this card. I'm going to make myself use the ones that are not glittered as well. And put them down in a couple places around here just to give a little bit of bells and whistles, if you will, to our project here, to dress it up just a little bit. Let's see, I'm going to put another big one, maybe right down here on one of those pink petals. So there we have the second project. Now on the first card here, I colored a little piece of this white that I took off of one of the small pieces in the paper pack, and colored it and put it in here, and then put a little flower and a little leaf. And I actually didn't like it very much. So on this one, like I said, this was take two, so some of the things had been done. I laid down my white piece and just cut a piece of this black to mimic the outside and laid that down on the inside. And so there I have my two projects that have come from this wonderful Petal Passion suite. And I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today and visiting with me. This is an absolutely delightful and lovely palette of things that can be colored. You could do them all in black and white. There's a lot that are done in pink and black, and you can just follow that example. There is no reason in the world that you can't add blues and purples and all different kinds of things here and do it with your coloring. I think this is absolutely beautiful, and being able to add some different colors here is just been great fun. So thanks again for stopping by. Now, this material will all be available January the 2nd, 2018. Can you believe we're already almost to 2018? It seems hard to believe on some level. And so this is the beginning of using this suite, and hopefully this will give you a couple of ideas of ways to use this. And I think it's absolutely stunning because it's a black and white palette and allows itself or lends itself to coloring. And it could be watercoloring using your aqua painters It could be watercolor pencils. It could be the new Stampin' Blends, which I used on this project. And we have another new exciting product coming. They're Brusho. It's a different kind of coloring system that's crystals, and you use it with water. And the colors are pretty amazing. So I'll be doing, I'm sure, a project with the Brusho product here soon as well. And what I'm going to do for the rest of the time in December is I'm going to show you, like today, something from the catalog, from the upcoming catalog, and then I'm going to shift back to some things that are in the annual catalog and in the holiday catalog. I said I was through with Christmas, but I think I've got a video coming up that's full of a variety of Christmas tags. So we'll see. And the prize draw for this month is the Hold On to Hope set. Okay, I found the two pieces. This is the Hold On to Hope stamp set. It's got this beautiful floral flourish. It says Hold On to Hope. It said God is love, celebrating one of God's most remarkable creations. I have made you and I will carry you, I will sustain you, and I will rescue you, from Isaiah. And then it's got a couple of floral pieces here. It's got a little butterfly, and it's got this cross. Then this is the piece that I think is absolutely stunning. So this is the die set, and the die set is called Cross of Hope Framelit Dies. And it's got this outline cross here, which would cut out this. But then it's got this beautiful little cross that has some open relief on it. And you could really die cut the two of those together. Then it's got this banner piece here that would cut out this particular thing, or just a banner that you could add anything to. Then this is like a chrysanthemum, and it looks like there's a die here to cut out the chrysanthemum, and there's a little die to cut out this cute little butterfly. And then there's this cross, which is a filigreed cross, and I've seen it cut out, and it is stunning. Maybe on my next video, when I'm talking about the prize draw for the month, I can have some images cut out for that so you can see what it is. Anyway, this is the prize draw for the month of December, and it's got this little tiny cross in here as well. And it's really a very pretty set. Certainly, it doesn't have to be religious from the standpoint of sympathy or that kind of thing. It can be Hold On to Hope, and it can be used any number of ways in sympathy, thinking of you, any number of things, and I think it is a lovely set. Anyway, that is the prize draw for the month of December. And let's see, there's sales going on at Stampin' Up! Right now. There is the retired list, because almost all of the pieces of the holiday catalog are going to be retired. And there's a carryover list, those things that are going to be carried over into the new catalog. And today is a free shipping day. For 24 hours, anything you put in is free shipping. And let's see, what else? I think that's it. Getting ready to be able to get our hands on the Stamparatus. You can order a Stamparatus or reserve one on the website now through the end of the month, and it will be delivered sometime, I think, after March 15th. And then what they're going to do with the Stamparatus is then that window will go away, and all of the reserves will be delivered, and then it will be in the annual catalog that comes out in June. And it'll be a regular item that can be purchased. And so I certainly have my reservation in for one. And so let's see, I think that is it. I will be back soon with more products, and more cards, more projects. So see ya!